Hey everyone, I know at times I've said this will be a short video, and then I go on and realize as I get further into it that it's almost as long as a standard one I've done. But this time, I promise, this actually will be pretty short. Only two slides to go over here, and this is just kind of wrapping up, looking at some elements of democratic systems that I wasn't really able to get into before. And that's pretty much it. So get into it here. And so titled this Elements of Democracy. And what I want to say here that maybe I didn't get to before is that when we look at democracy, and I am talking about liberal democracy, so the kind of representative government that we're accustomed to seeing in the Western world, like in Europe, Latin America, the US, and many countries in Africa, but really most of the world at this point, um, then it has some important features, and I would call these the core goods of democracy. So the things that it is attempting to pursue and values. So we have participation, competition, and liberty. Those three kind of core values or core goods of democracy. Now, different countries have different models for the way that they've pursued these goods, and the kind of big kind of hinge point defining difference in a couple of these things has to do with what we call either indirect democracy or direct democracy. So, indirect democracy is the most prevalent form, like it says in here, but not all countries are limited to this indirect democracy. And what that is means you're voting on elected representatives. So, people get together, they try to, you have campaigns, you run for office and try to get people to vote you into office, and then those people form the government and then make all the decisions for the government, right? So that's indirect democracy because the citizenry is not making decisions directly. But certain countries do have features of direct democracy. And this is where citizens actually have a direct say in the decisions that are going to be reached for a country. And there are some other things that can show up occasionally, but the only two forms I'm concerned with you knowing about are a referendum and an initiative. Referendum, plural, can either be referendums or sometimes you'll see the word referenda. And what this is when the public votes directly on a particular policy issue. However, in this case, this is the government putting forward that item, that issue for the citizenry or the public to vote on. So, like in the UK a few years ago, the parliament said, you know what, we've sensed a lot of dissatisfaction with our relationship within the EU, so we'll just put it to a national vote. And you guys can vote if either yes or no. Yes, you want to, so either actually they called it remain or leave. And the remain vote was we'll stay in the EU. The leave vote was we leave the EU. And when that happened, the leave vote won. And we'll look more into that when we talk about the UK. But in any case, it won 52%. And this was a vote that actually had power to it. It had weight to it. It wasn't just a. Sometimes you'll see, maybe more like an opinion poll of what would you like us to do, and then the government can decide how things happen. But in this case, this had the weight of law. The public made that decision to leave the EU. Since then, there have been debates on like what they meant by that and how to pursue it, but it was a vote that had the power of law behind it. The second form is initiative, and an initiative is like a referendum. It is a national vote. The difference being an initiative is put forward by the citizens themselves. So a referendum, the government or the government officials, senators, congresspeople, they say, here's an issue we want the public to vote on, and then the public does so, and then whatever result happens, happens. Initiative is when citizens actually go around collecting signatures. They petition to get an item put on a ballot to be voted on. So very similar to a referendum, the difference is just who puts it forward as something to be decided. So there you go, maybe a little longer than it even needed to be, but hey, I kept it under 5 minutes.